Pocket FM.
To unlock all the episodes, click the link in bio.
Around 10 minutes had passed since Vorden had last heard Quinn say anything. Then movement from the other side of the door was heard as Quinn started to lift himself up from the ground. "Vorden, are you still there?" Quinn asked. "Yeah, I'm here. You all right now?" "Yeah, I'm okay. You probably want to know what just happened, don't you?" "Well, I'd be lying if I said no." Quinn then took a deep breath as he prepared to tell Vorden the whole tale. He slowly started at the beginning about how he had obtained a book, all up to the point where he had arrived in the portal world, eventually turning into the Bloodsucker. There were some details he decided to leave out, though. There was silence between the two for a few moments as Quinn finished the story. "You know, I knew you were different from the moment I met you," said Vorden. "What do you mean?" Quinn asked. "Do you know how abilities work? Every person has a number of mutant cells inside their body that they can activate. My ability allows me to replicate these cells from one person into my own body. But when I shook your hand, I felt the different cells in your body, Quinn. Just for whatever reason, I couldn't replicate them. It was the first time something like that had ever happened." "Are you scared of me, Vorden?" "Scared, Quinn? Everyone has their own secrets that they don't want others to know, some more so than others. It's understandable why you hid it." Vorden then turned around and moved the metal door out and into the corridor. To his surprise, Quinn looked almost like a completely different person. He had a whole new energy surrounding him. Quinn had grown a few inches in height. His skin looked super smooth and had gone slightly pale, while his face looked a little more masculine. "Now this might be a tough one to explain," Vorden said. They continued to walk around and ended back in the arena where the two of them fought. Based on Ian's information, the portal was most likely to be in this building. After searching around for a while and no success, the two of them sat down on the arena floor. Quinn asked why Vorden was even here in the first place and gave the simple reply of, "I came after you." The two of them started to laugh and joke about a few things as time passed by. "It's a shame you can't use your abilities in school. If it was a normal ability, my family could offer you protection. The military wouldn't try hurting you." Although Quinn could try to pass off the vampire abilities as something normal, there was the problem that there was no skill like it. On the video the system had shown, the blonde man stated others would now be looking for him. Were others referring to other vampires? If so, he needed to keep this a secret even more so than before. From the sound of the video, they didn't sound like they would be welcoming to him. Then something clicked in his head. There was something he could learn that wasn't part of his vampire skills. The level 6 ability book, the Shadow Book. While Vorden continued to search the arena for some type of secret exit, Quinn was pretending to look for one as well while walking around. "Would you like to take out the level 6 Shadow ability book?" This time, rather than a monotone robotic voice the system usually played in his head, it was the annoying, energetic blonde man's voice. "Inspect. Level 6 Shadow Book can only be learnt by those that have been blooded." Blooded? Was that another name for vampires, perhaps? It started to make Quinn ask more questions about the book. Why did the military keep such a high-level book locked away? He had never heard of someone possessing a shadow ability before. Just then, the annoying voice was heard again. "So it looks like you want to learn more about the book, huh? Please?" Quinn said while gritting his teeth. "Your guess is correct. Blooded refers to those that have been blessed or cursed, whichever way you want to look at it, with vampire blood. It doesn't matter if they're a halfling, a vampire lord, or even a ghoul. As long as they possess some of the vampire's blood, they are able to learn these abilities. Do you know why the book was here? I have no clue. Is this the only ability book vampires can learn? And can vampires learn more than one ability? Just like humans, vampires are only able to learn one ability." Quinn had asked the AI more questions, hoping to get an answer it had no clue and would just reply back with sarcastic answers. With that being said, there was one person in the room that was knowledgeable about these things, and he might just know about the shadow ability. "Vorden, have you ever heard of an ability that uses shadows?" "Shadows? Honestly, my gut instinct would be no, or at least not the world anyway. But you were honest with me, so it's time I'll be honest with you," said Vorden. The two of them then sat down a few chairs apart in the stadium. "Remember when I said earlier how I kept an eye on you because I couldn't copy your ability? Well, you're not the first one, or not the first one in our family," said Vorden. "As you know, I'm an original, so our powers have been passed down from generation to generation for hundreds of years. In my great-grandfather's journal, there was a time he said he had come across another user with an ability. Now back then this was rare. The whole world still didn't know humans had super capabilities. But each time we would come across one, my family would log it, especially since our ability relied on others." So is that why you were so interested in me? When you say it like that, it sounds a little strange. I assure you, I don't think of you in that way, Borden said awkwardly, but then his face went serious. Now that I told you, tell me, how would something the public not know about would you know about? At the moment, Quinn lifted the ability book in his hand. Whoa, you actually found it. Well, what are you waiting for? Let's learn it now. We have all the time in the world and we're stuck here doing nothing. Well, I really did want to learn it, but the problem is if I did, others would be after me, just like they would for the vampire ability. Borden started to think long and hard if there was anything he could do to help him. Then his master plan came to him. I think we can use the situation we're in to your advantage, said Borden. The school must know by now that we have been sent to another planet. You can just say you found the book here, that you learnt it for your survival. They all know you're level 1 trash. Borden paused for a moment after saying those words. I mean, they all think you're just a level 1, right? I'll say while we were in the portal world, I protected you, and as payment, after learning the skill, you decided to hand the book over to me. That way the people will no longer be bugging you for it, but my family instead. Are you sure your family will be okay with that? For a split second, Quinn thought he had seen Borden's face drop, but then he blinked and looked again. It was completely normal.
Hi, Quinn here. Wondering what happens next? If you want to jump the queue and unleash all episodes, click on the link here and install the Pocket FM app.
Now, what I'm about to tell you, they would probably teach you at the school later on anyway. Borden then started to use the magnetism ability he had obtained from Ian. He pulled over a small bolt and began to levitate around in his hand. Everyone knows about the power level system. There are 8 levels in total. These levels are actually determined by how many mutant cells you are able to activate in your body and not actually determined by strength. But if the power levels don't actually determine strength, then why the test when we started school? Quinn asked. The test the military gives you is actually to put you into the subcategories they created, the 1.1, 1.2, etc. This can sometimes be determined by what skills you have as well. Quinn was suddenly confused because he was sure he had seen the number 5 on it before. These watches are the answer. The watches they put on us are able to determine the number of mutant cells in our body. And now, that brings me to your book, Borden said as he pointed towards it. Not everyone can activate a high number of cells. It might take a while before we can tell if you have the ability to learn it or not. It sounded harsh, but what Borden was saying was true. He had heard examples of rich CEOs who had bought their kids' high-level ability books, only to be disappointed when they weren't able to succeed. The higher the ability book, the more information it would reveal about the method used. It was the fact that your soul weapon also had something to do with the number of mutated cells in your body as well. This would determine how strong of a soul weapon you had. The example Borden gave was Momo. Although Momo's ability wasn't too strong in a fight, his soul weapon was incredibly powerful as a level 6 ability user. Borden had explained that learning a level 6 ability book of the Bat would take months to learn, but while here, they could get a head start. But Quinn thought differently. There was one thing Borden didn't know, and it was that his vampire abilities also worked like a system. Would you like to learn the level 6 shadow ability? Yes. The book then lifted into the air, and the pages started turning and flashing in front of him. Borden stood on the sideline and took a step back. He had never seen anything like this happen before. Once all of the pages of the book had been flipped, it disappeared and vanished into thin air. Borden immediately rushed over to Quinn, who was holding his head with his hand. What happened? Are you okay? Borden asked. Yeah, I'm fine. Congratulations! You have learned the level 6 shadow ability. You have now unlocked the Shadow Skills tab. You have unlocked the Mutant Cell stat. 10 skill points have been added. New Shadow Skill Dimensional Storage has been activated. New Skill Shadow Control Level 1 has been added. The ability book had vanished once again, just like the old book he had received. This time he had also been given an entirely new tab that was dedicated only to his shadow ability in the system. Hey Quinn, what's wrong? Did something happen? Where's the book? Borden asked. Quinn then went to tap his head a couple of times with his finger. Inside? Said Borden. What do you mean it's inside your head? Quinn nodded. Borden was surprised, but at the same time, not. He had learned so many crazy things today, and this one was probably one of the least shocking. Borden didn't ask too many questions and gave Quinn a few moments to sit down and rest. He didn't really understand what he meant by it was all inside his head. Of course, this was Quinn's way of getting around telling Borden it was a system. Status? Race, Vampire. Ability, Shadow. HP 55 of 55. MC 100 of 100. Strength 15. Stamina 15. Agility 15. Charm 5. System, can you explain the MC stat to me? The MC stat is how many mutant cells you currently have in your body. Every time you use your ability, the MC numbers will go down, but worry not, for it will auto-regenerate itself over time. With that said, Quinn decided to put his stat points into strength and agility as he had been doing so far. Strength 16, agility 16. While Vorden was still giving him space and walking around the room, it also gave Quinn the time to check out a few of the other things he had unlocked earlier. To the side of the screen, it showed his inventory, where he had 16 basic tier crystals, 1 intermediate crystal, and also an advanced tier crystal as well. He didn't know when he had obtained them, but at some point he must have done. Was it while I was a bloodsucker? But Quinn couldn't remember killing anything other than Ian. It was the only explanation. When he had murdered Ian, did all his crystals transfer over into his system? The section to the right allowed him to select the item. He first chose the Rataclaw crystals. The shop auto-sorted itself and gave a message in the center. No items can be made with these crystals. Then, when selecting the other 2 crystals, items had appeared up in the center this time. Although these items were still grayed out, Quinn now knew the reason why. 3 intermediate crystals required to create this item. After searching through the shop more, he realized there were some weapons and items that only needed a number of crystals. When selecting the advanced tier crystal, the shop auto-sorted itself once again, and a ring was shown on screen. 1 of 10 advanced tier Deathbat crystals. Effects: allows the user to walk in the sun for 3 hours without being affected by the sun. This was a fantastic discovery. While Quinn was planning to create an outfit that completely blocked out the sun, there was a ring in the shop that had the same effect. The only problem was, it required him to kill 10 of these Deathbat, which were advanced tier beasts. Then there was a second problem. Beasts, especially on the higher tiers, were quite specific to what planet they lived on. Then a question hit Quinn's mind. Crystals could only be turned into one type of item, which all had the same effect. The quality of the item created would depend on the crafter, but if the item was destined to be a ring, a sword was unable to be crafted from the same type of crystal. Did Ian know what item the Deathbat crystal would give him? And if so, why would Ian need such a thing?
Hi, Quinn here. Wondering what happens next? If you want to jump the queue and unleash all episodes, click on the link here and install the Pocket FM app.
Pocket FM.
To unlock all the episodes, click the link in bio.